What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ToyShopFab. And on this video, we're going to see if we can't get that 480E transmission working again. Probably not going to happen, though. She's a bit burnt up. A lot of material in the pan. That's right. If you watched last video, we pulled that transmission out, installed a Circle D 28 to 3200 stall converter, took this thing out, beat up on it a little bit. I made it about halfway home before I started having an issue. And well, once I got it to this house, she did not want to move at all. Like, you could feel it, but not wanting to go anywhere, not shifting. Like, I lost everything. But I immediately went to work after that. Did a lot of reading on the internet because they can't put anything on the internet that isn't true. And I came up with a couple of things that, well, are problematic with these transmissions. So I'm not going to sit here and say, is it going to fix it? Probably not. But some of you out there may have one of these 480E transmissions, and you're going to stumble upon some of these issues. Like, let's see what we got here. Let's walk over to the pan that we pulled off this transmission and show you, well, what it looks like. Would you look at that? I mean, just look at it. There's a lot of junk in the bottom of this pan. A lot of it's clutch material, and if you look really, really close, I'm seeing what looks like bushing material. That sucks. Anyways, here is our filter. Now, these filters, if you look right here, they're supposed to be kind of silverish. Maybe a little red fluid on there, but this one is kind of, well, it's dark. Darker than it should be. If you look in this filter, well, she's a little dark as well. That thing is one of our issues I have come across. Now, I did something that most people wouldn't do when they buy a marketplace transmission off marketplace, and that's just put it in the truck, put fluid in it, and take it down the road. Yep. Usually you pull the pan off, right? Put a new filter in it, kind of see how things are going, but I didn't do that. No, not at all. I bought this transmission off marketplace, brought it home, immediately swapped it into this truck, put fluid in it, put it down on the ground, and, well, beat the heck out of it. I didn't even change the filter when I put a new torque converter in it. Should have. And yes, I know you're supposed to, but I was excited and I just wanted to get this thing on the ground, and it kind of bit me in the butt. So one of the problems I have come across or read on the internet is these things will produce a lot of material in the bottom of these transmissions, especially if they've been rode hard, and they will plug up a factory filter to the point where it won't pull the fluid, right? You're going to have erratic shifts, slow engagement, stuff like that. Now, this transmission's always had an issue since day one. And I mean, it goes into reverse just fine, but drive always took about 2 to 3 seconds. And I should have addressed that problem then, but I didn't. So, but that's not why we're here. We're here, one, we're going to change out this filter. Put a fresh filter in it. Also change out this little seal as well, because if there's any problem with the one that's in that case, well, it's like trying to drink your soda through a broken straw. You ever done that, right? You're trying to pull your soda through the straw. It's got a little crack, letting air in, and it just aerates, and it's terrible. So we're going to change out that seal, change out that filter. Problem number 2 is this guy. Now, this I know is an issue. For one, when I was driving the truck and I'm looking at my controller, the controller's doing a couple of funny things. It didn't always seem like it was in the right gear. It was fluctuating back and forth, not shifting when it should prior to this whole issue. And that is, well, because of this. And I'm going to show you. You look up inside this little fitting there. Hopefully you can catch it. But that thing is full of fluid. Now, you get transmission fluid in there, and you are going to have an issue. And yes, I did blow it out. prior to taking this truck off the lift and driving it around, testing out our torque converter, I did clean that out. And well, just on that short amount of time, you can see that connector has filled up with fluid again. So I never had an issue with it shifting before, but now that fluid, I must have broken the seal or something when I pulled it off, didn't quite seal just right. So now the connector was filling up with fluid, and that is definitely going to cause an issue. So that is another thing that is going to cause an issue with your 4L80 shifting, like erratic shifting, not going into gear, stuff like that. This is an issue as well. Another thing I'm going to replace on this transmission is our manifold pressure switch. Now, it is a very, very 100% good idea to make sure you buy a factory pressure control switch or manifold pressure switch for these transmissions. Anything, actually, it's always the best idea to buy factory electronic components. So it's not what I did. I bought the cheapest one off eBay, and we're going to see if that works. But you can have problems with your manifold pressure switch as well. And those pressure switches are held in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8mm bolts. Pop those off. Pop the new one in, tighten everything up, make sure you plug it in back in here as well. So those are the 3 things I got we're going to change out on this transmission. If it works, probably not for this one, but this is going to kind of run you through some of the things you may encounter on your transmission and how to get them out, how to replace them. I'm also going to be pulling our EPC or force motor. This guy here controls line pressure, and it is held in by a T27 Torx. Pull this little guy out here. See here, and our little bracket. Go ahead and set that guy up here. See that T27 Torx. Now, once our Torx is out, go ahead and reach up here. There's a little tab you're going to want to push out of the way and push down at the same time. You can see there, this little guy grabs the back of our EPC solenoid. And then once you got that out of the way, you see you got a little edge here. Go ahead and grab yourself a regular screwdriver, kind of put up in there and just kind of push it out. Now, once you've got it moving on its own, grab it and just kind of twist and pull out at the same time. See, kind of a little difficult one-handed, but give it a little bit of a wiggle, pull it out and check. We're going to see. Now, I've already pulled this out and washed off a little bit of debris that was on this screen, but this screen really was quite clean and not something I'm totally worried about. But I did want to take it off, check it, make sure there's nothing plugging that up. Once that's clean, go ahead and put that guy back up where it goes. Orientate it the same way it was when you took it off. That way your plug and everything goes back in. Put your little bracket and your Torx back on. And that's as easy as that. And there are 2 different styles of this EPC solenoid. Basically, the way to tell is all the way up till 2003. They used this guy right here. After 2003, they have one with a plug on it that almost looks like one of these guys right here. It plugs into the side of your EPC solenoid. Those are the 2. If you're not sure which one's which, well, all the way pre-97 up till 97 80E transmissions, these 2 lines were right here. You can see this one still has kind of the provision of where it used to be. So the 2 transmission lines were right here up, and then after 97 they split to this guy right here. Up to 2003 you have this style of EPC. This plug kind of just grabs a hold of here, plug it in, hooks, and then after 2003 got the other style of the EPC solenoid. So those are the basic ways I know how to check. Unless it's coming out of your totally year correct vehicle, like I don't know what that transmission came out of, so had to pull the pan to know for sure. I did know it was after 97 because of where the lines, how the lines were placed on our transmission case, but I didn't know if it was pre-2003 or after 2003. So again, I did have to pull the pan to check. Found it was 2000, or at least 2003 and a little older. So, whew. But like I said, I already pulled that. We're going to go ahead and tighten that T27 Torx back up. Get that little EPC tightened back up in our valve body. Then I'll grab a screwdriver. We'll get up here, pop out that seal to see if we can figure out the kind of condition that's in. Replace our transmission filter seal and put our new filter in. So let me tighten up that EPC and I'll get right back. All right, solenoid is reinstalled, tightened up. Now, next, like I said, got this little guy right here. Just got a regular old flathead screwdriver. I'm gonna put up against the side of the case here, try to get above that seal and just do a couple of twists. Or not a couple of twists, but grab it, a couple of the edges there, and you can see that guy popped right out, sitting on the floor now. So, doesn't take a whole lot to get them out. Now we're gonna put this guy right next to our new one. Make sure they are the same. And they are. Flip that guy around, kind of look at it. You can see that's where our screwdriver was. But this filter, or this seal, is actually, I don't know if you can hear that, really, really hard in comparison to our new one. So that could have been a factor in why I ruined or did what I did to this transmission. So replacing this is a good idea. So we're gonna go ahead, grab a socket that is the same outer diameter as this guy. Tap this guy back up into place on the case. And before we reinstall this, we're going to pull our manifold pressure switch and change that out. But like I said, first things first, let's get a socket. I'm gonna get you in a stand and we're gonna get that little seal pushed back up into our valve body. So here we go. Here is the hammer I will be using. And like I said, we're gonna grab a socket, which is this guy right here. This is a Quinn, get them at Harbor Freight. See here, it is a 13/16. And if you look really, really close, it is about the same outer diameter as our new filter seal. So that should work out really well. Go ahead and put this guy right here. Line him up to where I need to be. Give it a couple of light taps just to kind of help ensure that we get that thing going in as square as possible. Once you are happy with the way it is started, go ahead and give her a couple of taps. Drive her home. All right, now that sound usually means you are all the way in. I got a couple of spots to make sure it's flat all the way around. Yep, and we are, seal looks really good up in there, so that guy's flat. Our new seal is installed. Now I'm gonna go ahead, get our 8mm, pop off our manifold pressure switch there, so you guys can see on the camera these 6 bolts. Go ahead and get that out right now. Now they do say it's never really a good idea to use our little power tools inside the transmission. Use your little hand tools to crack it and pull them out. So, to let you know, I'm going to go ahead and use my little 1/4" impact here. Pop all these bolts out. Oh yeah. See, we got some drips. Good thing I got some rags on the ground. Ooh, maybe should have had a catch can. I don't. Maybe should have another catch can. You know what? Give me 1 second. Making a mess. It's all over the floor. My goodness. Stay off the camera. All right. Now it sounds like it's raining. That's cool. Okay. Last one. I hope. That is out. You can see kind of how mean I was to this poor little transmission by the color of the fluid coming out. So, let's go ahead and grab my screwdriver. There we go. Pop this guy off. Okay. Unplug our connector. If you guys can tell right there, but she's a little dirty. All the little material that's inside each one of these pressure switches. So I do have a new one over there. We're going to go ahead and replace it. Get the new one installed. Another thing you guys can do too is take brake clean. I like to use brake clean because brake clean doesn't leave any residue. Carburetor cleaner always seems to leave a little bit of residue. But you can go in there and clean out the debris from each one of these spots here. Right, and that could work as well. It's not 100% all the time, but hey, if you got the time and you got some brake clean, go ahead, get in there and clean it out. But they do say it's always just good insurance to replace it. But for any reason you can't, then just use brake clean, clean out each one of those little ports. So. Another thing too, always a good idea to use a rag other than these, okay? Because those like to leave lint behind. And my silly head just totally left a bunch of little lint particles behind on each one of these little edges. So don't do what I did. Use a blue rag, blue shop rag, something that's lint free. Keep as much of that stuff out of your transmission as possible. So anyways, here is our new switch. You can see what each one of these little guys are supposed to look like. Nice and clean. 71 inch-pounds. That's what it says. Feels correct. You really do not want to overdo these bolts. They do go into aluminum case. And if you get too Western with them, you are more than likely going to pull our threads out. Now go nice and slow with your little torque wrench till it clicks. I always like to do a double click. For one, if you go too fast, you'll get yourself a fake torque reading. Now, we're not going to plug this guy back in. We'll go ahead, pop them out of this here, pop them out of here. Go ahead and pop these. Get you turned around so you can see exactly. Not that far turned around. There we go. Get your eyes on almost everything we got going on here. Sorry about that. Now these little guys here, still can't see. You see the clips we have here. Use your thumb, push them out of the way. This one's gonna have two, one on each side. Now if you have a little pick, that would be the easiest way to do it. or a regular screwdriver, get on both ends. It comes right off. So we got guys undone, that guy's undone. Same as it comes over here to the other side of our transmission, up close to our EPC. Undo our little tabs on the side. You guys can see there. Put a little screwdriver in, lift gently. But if you're replacing it, do whatever you need to do to get that off. You can see this one is missing a gasket, so we're gonna have to look for that, I think. Nope, I am wrong. So, and now you got that out of the way. You can see it moves freely here, freely there. Now we're gonna go ahead and get you set up on the outside where you can see our pigtail coming through the case. Now the case or the pigtail is held in. There's 4 spots on opposing corners or opposing sides of our little harness here, and it looks like these guys right here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can take a razor blade or a knife if you got it, get in there, cut them off, smack it with a hammer. You can use a pick or a screwdriver, work one of these one spot at a time while tapping that in. Or you can get yourself a 1.25 inch socket, slide her over the top there, give her a couple taps, and that will push each one of our tabs in at the same time. Grab a screwdriver, come on the back side, and just work it on through. So it comes out fairly easy. Take it up over our little oiler here, get all of our lines out. Now that you got that out of the way, go ahead, put your new harness back up in place. Get all these guys worked around where they're supposed to be. Make sure they go to the correct spots. So we got nothing hanging, nothing dangling. Boom, boom, boom. That's perfect. This guy goes in with this big old edge down. Now, a good thing to do, take a little transmission fluid, go around your seal. That'll help lube everything up. Make it go back into the case as easy as possible. Once you got everything lined up, then go ahead and just push and work it and wiggle it on in. Once you got it in place, each one of your tabs is going to come through. We are good to go. It is now replaced with a fresh, brand new harness. So go ahead, get this back up in each one of our little tabs where it goes. Get you up and around here. Each one of these little brackets, so that goes there. This guy is going to plug back in here. Boom. This guy is going to plug in right here. Good deal. Kind of tuck them up out of the way. These guys go back here. This guy goes right into our manifold pressure switch. Get on the other side so I can see. There we go. Whew. Okay. Plugged in, plugged in. These guys I obviously have in the wrong spot. This guy is going to go right here. Nope. There we go. Perfect. Good to go. Alright, so cool thing is, it's really hard to get these all messed up. You can't really interchange them where they go. Plugs won't let them, so All you gotta do is just get it routed back up with how it came, get everything up and out of the way, free of our pan. Once you got all that stuff plugged back in, go ahead and now grab your filter. Again, put a little fluid on our housing. That'll help it slide into that seal correctly. Another thing too is make sure you do get the correct filter, pay attention. All right, so this is kind of the deeper pan, and the deeper pan requires a filter with these standoffs. These standoffs sit on the bottom of the pan, help keeping this in place with our seal. Now the other filter without these would fit, but what would happen if for any reason it came loose in here, this would drop and it will starve your transmission. So make sure you get the correct filter for your transmission as well. So now that you see we got new filter, we got our EPC all cleaned up, have our new harness, and changed our manifold pressure switch. We'll go ahead and get the pan back on, get this thing on the ground, get it topped off with fluids, and well, get her warmed up. Like I said, get some fluids in it and see whether or not any of these fixes helped this poor little transmission. Here we go. Truck is on the ground, everything's warmed up, about 199 degrees on the water temp. Should be fine once I get moving, hopefully. Got my controller all plugged in. Now, cool thing is, we got reverse. Reverse goes right in. That's good. Go to drive. Now it actually moves in drive, but it's not very strong, so I'm pretty certain that the damage is done, right? But it does go into drive. Now the cool thing is, put it back in park, one thing that always was funky, and I just accepted, I thought maybe because this controller does both and it reads weird, it doesn't. I had a problem, definite problem with the pigtail, and that is probably why I ruined this transmission. So let me show you here. So here is my controller. You can see, let's go ahead. You got 122 for fluid temp. There's our voltage. 12.7, 12.9. It is working. Throttle positioning. All that's working. We'll go up here. RPM signal. All that works. Now the cool thing is, you can see right here, it says park neutral. It never read that before. Or it never read anything correctly, but we got park neutral, reverse, park neutral, overdrive, third, second, first. You can feel it, you can hear it, it's in gear. So, I mean, that is a definite giveaway that either my harness or my manifold pressure switch was not working correctly, because now it is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So there is a problem with either the harness or the manifold pressure switch. So those definitely needed to be changed out. And because I ran it like I did for so long, which is probably what was the demise of this transmission. Now, if I had just actually picked up the parts and changed them when I noticed an issue, probably could have saved it. But I'm hoping that this whole thing here will help one of you out from making the same mistake I did. You start seeing an issue, get it fixed, right? Just get underneath there and check that little pigtail or the connection to your transmission. You got any fluid in it whatsoever, change it out. So, but she's warmed up pretty good. I think I'm gonna risk it, take it out on the road, see what kind of gears I have, see if it moves, right? I need to be able to move this thing around, but chances are this transmission is coming out. Darn. But let me get this thing out of the shop, we'll get it on the road. Alright, out of the shop, rolling down my driveway here. It's raining, so we're gonna take it a little bit easy. Got our controller in overdrive and see if it'll pick it up. Cameras are kind of funny with these things. But come on. Anyways, come on, there you go. See, overdrive. Tilt it. So let's see how this thing works out. It actually took off fairly decent, really. I don't know how it's really supposed to act with the torque converter. I may have had an issue like from the get-go, but yeah, 2,000 RPMs, second gear. We've got, well, this thing is moving way better than it has. Shifted. So we got gears back, actually, which is absolutely phenomenal because this thing did not move. I had to sit, shut it down. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hear a noise. I probably did destroy something in the transmission because I was so impatient. But it moves. Got a good reverse, good solid reverse actually. I think the next thing I need to do is get a pressure gauge to this transmission and see how we're doing. But oh yeah, good fourth. Well, I'm into overdrive. Down into first now. Good solid shift. That is amazing. And I drove this truck home. Yep. Just did another shift. I drove this thing home 100% convinced it had to come out. So this is absolutely awesome. And all I did is I changed our filter, new harness, I cleaned our force motor, and yeah, filter, harness, clean the force motor, and our manifold pressure switch. Change those three things out. And this thing is running, we got 145 temp. I'm cruising down the road, and it is, yep, downshifting, going through the gears like it's supposed to. So this is absolutely awesome. 147 degree temp. Like I said, I drove this truck home last time, totally convinced this transmission had to come out. But I changed those three things by just doing a little bit of reading on the internet, changed them out. Now this truck is moving again. So that is awesome. Don't get me wrong, I have a full rebuild kit. Full. It's 100% prepared to pull this transmission out and rebuild it, get into it. But if I got a couple more miles out of it, yeah. This is cool. Very cool. But let's get a couple more miles on this thing and get her back to the shop. She's a little bouncy, she's a little sugary. So I've got about close to 30 miles on this truck, and it is shifting great. Lockup works great. It's going in and out of gear. It downshifts. It's got a good engagement. It's not flaring shifts. So, I mean, the transmission does have a couple of little issues, but those are more self-inflicted issues. The shutter is about almost gone. That's caused by me. I know that for a fact. I will tell you this, when they got, the racing transmission fluids, right? Here's a little tip. Unless it's a fresh transmission and you're putting that stuff in it for the very first time, stay away from it, because you're going to cause yourself nothing but problems. So we're just going to leave that at that. But besides the two self-inflicted issues, it's got a little bit of a squalling noise, but that only happens in second, and it only happens under a hard load if you let it shift itself. Manually shifting doesn't do it. So, which is fine. I got a brand new ratchet shifter we're going to put in the truck. We're going to get rid of the column shifter. We're going to put a floor shifter in it. Bench seats coming out. I got a couple of those seats. Going to make a bracket. We're going to start getting the inside of this truck set up and get it more and more set up to do what it is I want to do with it, which is drag and drive events. And I want to get a seat. We need to get harnesses in it. I need to start getting into this truck and using it for exactly what it is I built it for. And it's really, really awesome that I was able to get this truck back up and moving with this transmission. And we only changed out these three parts right here. All right, so we got this terrible and nasty filter. Now, I have no idea how long that filter has been in the truck. It was in the truck when I bought it off Marketplace. It's probably the factory filter. So if you buy a transmission off Marketplace, go ahead, pull the pan, check the filter, change it out. Good insurance. Another thing we changed out was my manifold pressure switch. And you can see here, I did spray it. That in there has got a little bit of junk in it still. But we changed that out just to kind of eliminate this as a problem, because that can cause an issue. But I believe our biggest culprit for all my misshifts, and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, is this guy right here. And that's because our little seals on the back went out, allowing transmission fluid to flow into this connector, which made my controller kind of wig out and not commanding the proper shifts, or even putting it into gear for that matter in that truck, because it left me stuck on the road a couple times and not moving at all. No reverse, no drives, nothing. So I believe that harness is the biggest culprit of why I had an issue with that transmission. So it's really, really cool. It's about $50. I'll go ahead and put a link, an eBay link, because that's where I get most of my stuff anyways, off eBay. We'll go ahead and get a link to that in the description so you can check that out. And it's really, really, really easy to diagnose. You go out on your little 4L80 transmission. It's right on the driver's side. Push the sides in, pull it out. The connector is going to look a lot like this connector right here. Push the two side tabs, and these generally pop out just like that. And then look inside here. Make sure there is no fluid. If there is, then of course you will have to replace that harness. Very, very simple. Drop the pan, unplug it from all the servos, undo it from the little metal clips. 1.25" socket goes around the inlet right here. Smack it with a hammer. Use a screwdriver on the backside, pry it out, put the new one in. So if you feel like you're having any issues with that whatsoever, change that harness out. Good insurance. Now, like I said too, I was 100% prepared to come home and yank this transmission out of this truck. As you can see here, I've got my manual. Yep. I've got a full rebuild kit, stage 2, with the clutches and the steels, all that stuff needed for a good performance rebuild. I've got a Transgo reprogramming kit for the valve body, which is something I may do here pretty soon. But I have everything there that I would need to fully rebuild that transmission. But before doing so, I wanted to go through and just replace some of the little common problems with this to see whether or not it would get this truck moving again, and it did. So totally excited. I can move this thing in and out, get it out of my way, and start getting ready for some other projects as well. Got new, better, bigger tires for the back of Frankenstein, so it's not going to look so goofy with those little tiny tires on the back. Definitely want to do some more videos with that. Got some other projects, like I said, in the works. Starting to stockpile transmission cores, basically, like $70 off of Marketplace and stuff like that. And just the little parts off them alone have saved me money. So, but anyways, with you guys, I hope this helps some of you out there. Remember, double check, read, look at some of these, look into replacing some of these little problematic parts on your transmission before you decide to yank that thing out and take it and spend a few $1,000s on getting a rebuild. And you know, that's if you don't plan on doing it yourself. So this could save you some time, could save you some money, and why not? Most of these parts are going to have to be replaced anyway, so you're just getting a jump start on it anyways. But like I said, hope this helps some of you guys out. Hope this motivates you. Get out there, work on your junk. And remember, you guys, never, ever, ever make snow angels in a dog park. Thank you guys again for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Like I said, I hope this motivates you. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give a guy a thumbs up. Tell me what you think down in the comments. And I'll catch you on the next one.